Madison Wolfe in I Kill Giants, part of My First Film Fest 2. See listing below. XYZ Films Our Guide to Cultural Events in New York City for Families with Children and Teenagers. Brooklyn Children's Book Fair at the Brooklyn Museum, November 11, 11:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Young readers can always meet authors and illustrators through the books, but how often do they encounter them in person? The opportunity to see, and even work with, the creators of a host of titles is one of the highlights of this annual festival, which focuses on its borough of origin. This year, more than 50 local artists and writers will participate, including Gabrielle Balkan, 50 cities of the USA, who will collaborate with children on a map of the favorite Brooklyn spots. Isabel Rox's Let Me Finish, who will show how she draws her characters, and Brian Cronin, who will lead an art-oriented scavenger hunt throughout enlarged copies of pages from his new book, The Lost Picnic. 718638500 brooklynmuseum.org. Calendar serials at the Flea Theatre, November 11-19. Cereal can sometimes be bland, but that won't be the case at the Flea, where its resident company, the Bats, is inviting children 5 and older to take the grains with small but flavorful helpings of theater. To create this series of 5 10-minute plays, 4 will be the menu at each performance. The Flea asked up-and-coming writers to adapt intriguing folk tales from around the world. The results, playing weekends at 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. and served with a mini-box of cereal for each child, includes stories from New Orleans, Hong Kong, Russia and Syria, along with an adaptation of work by the Italian author Italo Calvino. 21222260051 theflea.org. Anton to Generation Festival at the Museum at Eldridge Street, November 12, noon to 4 p.m. Children are invited to step into their ancestors' shoes, and, preferably, the suitcoats and dresses, too, for an afternoon stroll through history. Housed in the 1887 Eldridge Street Synagogue, this museum will recreate the era of the institution's early congregants, Jewish immigrants from Eastern Europe. Young visitors can take a fake citizenship test, participate in a mock naturalization ceremony, learn knitting, participate in family history and art workshops, and take old-style pictures in a photo booth. Costume props will be provided. Reservations are advised. 21221903002 eldridgestreet.org. The History Mystery at Tada Youth Theatre through November 19th. The 3 lead characters in this AL voice a typical complaint about the subject of history, that it's all about boring old white men. But when they travel back in time in this revival from Tada, whose actors are ages 8 through 18, they discover interesting figures who aren't necessarily white or male, and are certainly not boring. The show, by Janine Nina Trevens, Eric Rockwell and Margaret Rose, includes encounters with suffragists, as well as the young Eleanor Roosevelt and Martin Luther King Jr. 2,122,521,619 ext. 5. TodayTheatre.com. Modigliani Family Day at the Jewish Museum, November 12, noon to 4 p.m. Few children draw or sculpt human faces with flawlessly realistic detail, and at this celebration they'll find a kindred spirit, Amedeo Modigliani. The afternoon will include tours of the museum's show Modigliani Unmasked, where young visitors can discover his freewheeling geometric style. They can also emulate it by sculpting heads, creating collage portraits, working on 2 giant collaborative figures, and drawing live models. Ears will be entertained, too. The band JoJo the Pinnacones will perform 2 concerts of jazz-flavored pop. Online RSVP is recommended. 212423320 thejewishmuseum.org. Family Day. My First Film Fest Tour. The Walter Reed Theatre. Don't be fooled by the title. While the 2nd annual edition of this cinematic weekend from the Film Society of Lincoln Center offers plenty of fare for 6-year-olds, its Friday through Sunday screenings include 4 features, like the 1997 Hayao Miyazaki classic, Princess Mononoke, geared strictly to teenagers. Anders Walter's I Kill Giants, based on a comic book series by Joe Kelly, explores the turbulent inner life of a bullied adolescent girl. Bruce McDonald's Weirdos, set in 1976, follows the odyssey of a hitchhiking, Warhol-besotted 15-year-old and his girlfriend. And Polina, by Valery Muller and Angeline Priljikaj, focuses on a driven Russian dancer. Younger viewers can gain new perspectives from the documentary Miskiat's Children, by Peter Latester and Petra Latisticic, which goes inside a Dutch elementary school classroom filled with Middle Eastern immigrants. And one unusual opportunity involves a not yet finished film. Carlos Saldana will show footage from his comedy Ferdinand and then lead audience members in an animation workshop. 21228755601 Filmlink.org. The Secret Life of Suitcases at the Clark Studio Theatre, November 11, 19. Most people take their suitcases on journeys. In Larry's adventure, however, the suitcase takes him. This Scottish production, created by Lewis Hetherington and Ailey Cohen, explores what happens when its hero, a rather punctilious office worker, discovers a mysterious suitcase with his name on it on his doorstep. Presented by LC Kids, Lincoln Center's children's series, the show uses actors, props, whimsical puppets and that all-important flying luggage to lead Larry and the audience on a wild ride. 212721650 kids.lincolncenter.org. The Stowaway or How the Mistress Quickly Went from Madcap to Majestic at Classic Stage Company through November 19. The hidden traveler at the heart of this play is called Dull, but you can be sure that the proceedings on stage won't be. Written and directed by Drew Peterson and presented by the always ingenious trusty Sidekick Theatre Company, the show concerns Dull's efforts to return to her homeland, Illyria. Meanwhile, one duke has disappeared, and another, an autocrat, has taken over. If it all is more than vaguely Shakespearean, you're right, his canon is the inspiration. But don't worry, the work runs only an hour and welcomes theatregoers as young as 5.212677421. ClassicStage.org. A version of this article appears in print on November 10, 2017, on page C28 of the New York edition with the headline For Children.